I talked recently on the Facebook group a few questions, and I'm just going to read them now. Some of the things I thought of at the time last week. The day after Valentine's Day, and I was concerned because I'm about to show you how to make a lovely block. It's called Lily Star, and we'll be going on to that in the next video. Uh, of, our other admin member made this up. Her daughter is called Lily, and her granddaughter is called Lily, and so this is Lily Star, or this is the lead up to making Lily Star. But I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous, and it's exactly what I would like for the centre of my runner. However, what struck me after looking at it for a little while was, the more seams that are in a block, the more reasons why it will shrink, yeah? So it shouldn't, if we were all perfect and everything was perfect in this world, it should end up on paper or on computer to being exactly the right size block. But these are a couple of reasons which I'm going to show you now of why it won't, which has got nothing to do with Lily's block. It's got to do with any block that you may make in the future. If there's a lot of seams involved, this can make an awful lot of difference to you. So where do we start? Okay, number one, before you cut anything, starch it. That's number one. Now, I know people are like, oh, I don't know why you do that. A lot of people, whatever. Anyway, I'm just opening up a box of, in this one, I'm hoping, and as you can see, it's certainly not ironed or anything, yeah? So, look, see, I keep things like edging that I've already pressed for binding of something else, and these are then strips of fabric. Let's take one. There's one. Now I don't emphasize that you should actually starch things that are already pre-cut, but I'm using this as an example. Oh look, I keep bits. This is other bits of edging that I could probably use for smaller squares. I keep it. I don't throw it away. If I pressed it and I cut it, I keep it. Right, so let's have a little look. Oh, there's a bit of bat in there, don't want to. Anyway, let's have a little look. There's another colour. We need to cut the colours. I mean, they're as equally unpressed as they come off the roll. But these are bits that I've not used before. Let's do it all the same. There's another one. Yeah, there's another one. Not as big as the other bear, but it'll do, right? So, tuck all that back in. This is what I consider my potential edging strips, depending on what I'm doing. Oh, I love that. Now, see, I got a lot of that left over. That's what I edged a huge quilt. American, what was that called? I can't remember. It's very expensive material, and I got a huge quilt made of this, which I love. But obviously I made too much at the time for the edging. So let's get rid of that. So now what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3. They are, I believe, they're all from the same company. And, so they should all react in the same way. Now, I'm not saying when you're using pre-cut strips, because these are pre-cut 2.5-inch strips, yeah? So I'm not endorsing that you do it once it's cut. What I'm endorsing is you do it before it's cut. Definitely do it before it's cut. But let's see the difference of doing it with one type, another type, and then not doing it, and see what happens. So bear with me. I am going to use, there's a couple of things to use. My favourite is Best Press, but then there are other starch, it's not alone, is it? That I'm trying to find one now. I will. Right. Yeah, here's one. Never mind about Best Press. It's empty, but here's a Best Press. There's one you can get at the supermarket, yeah? They're both types of starch. One is clear, one is not quite the same. So, let's try it and then we'll do one that is not. And see the look of it by the time you're finished. Just a quick look. I have got the top line of pink. I haven't I have kind of saturated it, but not to the nth degree, is with Best Press. The middle one is with Dylon, yeah, as you can see. And this is before I've actually ironed it. And the bottom one, so far, nothing at all, okay? So I just want to see, I am being fair, that I have soaked the top one as much as the bottom one before I've even pressed it. Yeah, I'm only doing the width, what's this? About 18 inches. I'm just doing the width of my ironing mat. I'm hoping I put these down the same way as I did, but anyway, I know what I've done, right? And I've only done it where you can see where I stopped there, right? But the top one, I've used Best Press. Again, I just want to reiterate, this should be done before you cut your shapes, yeah? Like on the whole square of material before you cut your shapes. However, this is just a demo, yeah? So I have Best Pressed this pink one, which can obviously distort the shape. So it should be done before you cut it into a 2.5 inch strip. So there's the one end, yeah? If I hold it up to camera, you can see that is fairly stiff, like a piece of paper, yeah? If I show the other end, which is, as you can see, has not been Best Pressed. It's not like a bit of paper, is there? It's, as you would expect it to be, soft, unironed fabric, yeah? So, one end, yeah, acts like a piece of paper. The other end does not. So that's with Best Press. Now moving on, let's put you out of the way, Best Press. Moving on, the second one I did, lovely, I did with this Dylon spray starch. Now, all looking good. Hold it up. Yeah, that's got stiffness to it. That is reacting in the way I would like it to. The other end I didn't do, and that is a crimply bit of fabric, right? But can you notice, and I don't know whether this light is good enough, where I stopped spraying, and this is what annoys me, where I stopped spraying with this Dylon, can you see the line? Can you see this line where the spray stops? So it changed colour, because you can see surely the difference between that and that, I hope, on camera. You can see the line of spray, so you're changing the colour. And sometimes, this is my argument with normal spray starch, is it can even leave a whitey residue behind, yeah? I just made some marks in that, which I don't know whether it'll come out on camera. Let's see if I can do the same on here. Doesn't happen. But if I do it on the spray starch, Can you see? That's what I'm saying about a white residue. Can you see that? But with the clear best press, you can see the indents, but you can't see the change of colour, can you? That's one thing. Now, what if we didn't do anything? This is without anything, right? It's lovely, yeah? So, does it stand up? No. It's pressed, but there's absolutely no stiffness in it at all. If I take the other end, which is untreated whatsoever, it behaves in exactly the same way. So pressing it is not the same as starching it, is it? It's not the same. That's like a piece of paper now, so when you cut that, you have a guaranteed specific sharp cut. It's not gonna, with this one, look at what I'm saying. I'm just using the side of my finger. If I was cutting this, can you see how the material, oops, moves with my finger? Whereas cutting this, it doesn't move. That's how you get a sharp cut. So this does exactly the same, but you can still see those marks that I've made with my fingernail, and that is what you get out of the spray starch cans. So that's why I prefer to spend a little bit more and know that I can't make those white marks on this fabric. And this one, which end is it? Hang on. No, not that end, because that's all wonky. This one, well, see how it moves? It's not going to happen. Anyway, that's number one. I've overlaid at that point, not do with, you know, that's number one. Okay, in that last little experiment that I showed you, you saw how whether it was one starch or the other, no matter what starch you're using, soaked the fabric and then ironed it, yeah? So the fabric had every opportunity to resize itself, and then once you'd ironed it, that was set. Now, the bottom one I just ironed it, yeah? Didn't move, didn't change shape, didn't do anything. But what happens if I make a lovely block all with unwet, unsoaked, unwashed fabric that when it goes in the washing machine, it's going to do that. It's going to go, ooh, and draw in. All of a sudden, that lovely block you had that measured this, that, or the other was perfect, is now dragging. Well, they all will. If you've done it all the same, that all parts of the quilt will drag in, yeah? Whereas, having starched, soaked it, which is why I say do it before you cut it, soaked it, the fabric is relaxed as much as it will do in the washing machine. You cut it, it's not going to get any bigger, and it's certainly not going to shrink up because it's already been soaked and you're cutting it to the size it was when it was wet. So your quilt in that respect should not change. That's point 2. For point 3, I need to get out some examples of squares. And remember, for this bed runner, we're making big blocks. But these are smaller blocks. So I just wanted some examples. So, oh no, quite a lot of seams in there. Not very many seams in that one, so that's a good example. Quite a lot of seams in that one, so we'll use those two. as just examples, okay? This is an ordinary 9 patch. This is something that they call diamond puzzle, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, example of blocks, yeah? In this one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seams, yeah? 10 seams. Do you want to count in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27 seams in that one. Yeah? Every time we make a seam, we shorten the fabric by the 1/4 of an inch, which is what we're working to. But do we really? Or is it much more than that? And if it is much more than that, and the block doesn't fit, that one probably will. This one could come up short, and why? So, I've set my foot up here. At the moment, I need to change it, and I will just change it over to doing piecing or patchwork, yeah? So I don't know if you noticed that, but my needle just jumped as far right as it wanted to go. However, my reason for discussing this with you tonight is that, let me just get out a few things. We need to make a scant 1/4. Now, you may have heard this before. We talk about sewing a 1/4 inch seam, yeah? And if you're only joining, you know, nine pieces together for a 9 block, it doesn't make that much difference. But when we are joining something together that may have 20 or 50 seams to make up a block, everything is multiplied by, say, you know, 30, 40 seams. So it does make a difference. So I got a little ruler here, which this is a 1/4 of an inch wide, yeah? But I want my needle, so I am just going to plop this under my needle, put my foot down, put my outside 1/4 inch edge, because this is a 1/4 inch foot I've got on now, so this outside black edge is what I will rest the fabric against. So I need to have that as my guard, yeah? Then always crank towards you, bring your needle down. Now, even though I set my machine up to do a 1/4 of an inch, it's way off. So I need to move my needle over. I need to move my needle towards the edge, yeah? So it wasn't high enough for you to see it moving. But keeping everything as it was, I now lower my needle, and it's still not as I like it. So I have now got my needle still not dropping where I want it. Now I cannot make any further adjustment. I can't get the needle to go to the right any further, and I know I'm going to be relying on this foot to be my 1/4 inch. So what can I do? Well, there's a couple of ways of thinking about this. I can either, let me take a piece of fabric, I can either, when I put my fabric in, make sure that it doesn't quite meet the edge, that'll shorten it. If I lay, let me make sure I've got these two the right way round. If I lay one shape along the other, and I put my foot down, and I do not have it entirely, you know, a few millimeters away from the edge, then I could make a scant quarter, which I will do. Now, it's hard for you to see. This may be difficult for you to see, and I'm hoping I can point it out to you. Because these are precision cut, so they should be entirely correct by size, yeah? If I went directly through that point, and I went through directly by that point, never mind about that cotton there. Oh, I've mucked it now, haven't I? But went through that point, I would be making a 1/4 inch seam, but I've come over a few millimeters, so that's a scant quarter. It's not quite, how to measure it, yeah, it's barely a quarter, yeah. Now you think, well, now why do you want to go to this level? Why do you want to make this a little teeny weeny bit shorter, and I'm only talking millimeters, shorter than a quarter? Well, the reason for that being is, with two things, with the depth of material, then plus the cotton that you've already used, by the time you open this shape up, and this applies to every single seam, by the time you've opened this shape up and pressed it back, yeah, even though you're, oh, that's great, right, but you can feel that there is a lip. There is a lip. There it is. That's the lip. That means that even though I've sewn it less than a quarter, it probably is now a quarter, because this dark material has had to go up and over my underneath stitching. It's had to go up and over to lie flat. Now that seam takes away probably just under 2 millimeters. So if I'd have done a true quarter, that actually would have made this shape shrink by a 1/4 inch plus that lip. Now, depending on what cotton you're using, what size and width and thickness of cotton you're using, that could be 2, 3, 4 millimeters by the time you pressed it flat. Okay, I'll go back to the other table and show you that again, but that's the premise of it, yeah. But let me go back and show you over there. Right, so as I was just saying to you, on the other table we talked about this one, and we talked about that when you iron this back, you're making a lip, and that can be 1 millimeter, it could be 2, or it could be 3. Now it all depends on what thread you're using. I was using at the time this, which was Orifil. It's complete cotton, and this is 50 weight, yeah. You can get Orifil in 40 weight, so it's thicker. Moon thread, this is 40 weight. You could use that. And then also, I know a lot of people tend to think, because this is what they've been learned and told, that whatever you've got on your top thread you should use in your bottom thread. Well, that may be true of other types of machine work, but certainly when you're making precise squares, yeah, not the case. I use, this is branded, and you can see I use a lot of it. Started off looking like that, but I'm running out now, so now it looks like this. So, oh, damn. So you can see how much I use of it, yeah, and how much is on. Now, this is called Bottom Line, and there are lots of other brands you can get, but this is 60 weight thread, and as you can see, it's not very thick at all. If I put, this is only 50 weight, so again this is thin, but if I put it next to it, you can see it's thicker than the 60 weight. If I, well, I'll open this one. This is moon thread, 40 weight. That actually is even thicker, yeah? So it does depend on what you use in your bobbin and your top thread of the difference of how much this seam can make when you iron it back. So I tend to use a very, very thin, it's still very strong. This is made by Superior Threads, and it's polyester thread, so it's very, very strong, but as you can see, it's very, very thin. And the fact that it's very, very thin means that I don't have this drag over my stitching line as much as if I'd used 40 weight top and bottom, it would be thicker. So that's another problem when we're talking about making 30 different joins and seams. This is what can make your square shrink. It doesn't matter if you're just doing 2 or 3, but if you're making, what have we got in this one we're looking at now? Oh, I knew on the top line we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We've got 18 seams on the top line. And that is what can shrink the size if you haven't. Bear in mind, you need to have precise cutting in the first place, but then even your thread can make a difference to your overall size of your block.